What's up, YouTube? So maybe you guys can help me explain something. I've been rolling this around in my head. So, how do I even start this? So, this started about a conversation with April and I about who have we used for the last 30 years for service, right? So I said, well, I had basically the same electric company, the same water company. I did switch insurance companies years and years and years ago. So that's one switch after, being with them for 15 years and their price was double. I switched to somebody else that was half. But again, there's really no service in that. You're just paying a bill, and hope that you're getting taken care of. Same mortgage company, then I paid my house off. At least my vehicle's from the same Kia dealership. I don't hop around. I shop at Home Depot and Lowe's both. I don't really do the food shopping, so I can't say. I use Wawa regularly, more than anybody else for sheer convenience. So my point is, I'm just going to give my service center for an example. Yesterday, a woman called about she had a nail on her tire and she went to Pep Boys and she bought her tires from us. Okay. And Pep Boys did a diagnostic, said she needs a battery. I'm like, well, if you went in for a nail on your tire, why'd they do a diagnostic on your car? Especially your battery. Did you have any starting conditions? No. Never had a problem with starting a car? No. Then I don't understand why they're opening your hood and checking your battery when you're there for a tire plug. So I said, well, why did you go there? Oh, I don't know. Okay. Well, she goes, well, is my battery still under warranty? I said, well, if you're not having any issues with it, then I don't think you even need one. I said, but it is technically out of warranty. It's a 1-year free replacement. And it's a little expired. I said, but if the battery's bad, I'll extend the warranty to you. Just pay the labor. So she had Pep Boys plug the tire. And then she has someone show up an hour or two later. And then I load test the battery and do a video about it. And the battery was fine. The technicians load tested it before I load tested it. And it passed 2 load tests. So call her up and say, hey, the battery's perfectly fine. Your choice. I'll extend this warranty to you. You don't get another warranty. We're just giving you, satisfying you more than we're satisfying myself. I already know there's nothing wrong with the battery. You basically got ripped off or tried to get ripped off at Pep Boys. And you didn't even know it. But you chose to go to Pep Boys over the last guy who worked on your car, and you spent $2,000 in repairs. You had no complaints about the work, as far as I know, and you've never contacted the shop for over a year later that you're at another shop and they're trying to sell you things that you already had replaced. It could be possible. The battery could have been bad, but I proved that it wasn't. But why do people use a service provider? And I'm just going to say me. Have no complaints about the price, no complaints about the service, no complaints about the products, just nothing. Just come in, use the service, and never to return. Especially when it comes to a car. I mean, even if you buy another car, it still needs wiper blades, oil changes, tire rotation, tires, bulbs, things of that nature. So there's technically no excuse not to return to the service provider unless you show up and they're busy and you can't get right in. But then, if you had a good experience, why wouldn't you just come back? You just drive around, you'll go someplace else just to satisfy your instant satisfaction of your need. And then I have regular customers that won't go anywhere unless I advise them, because I don't do everything. So they'll go to a tranny shop and then they'll come back for regular maintenance, or they'll go to the dealership for a reflash and then they'll come back for regular maintenance, or they'll go to the dealership just for the free oil changes or whatever the deal is, and then whatever estimate they get for repairs, they come back and say, hey, the dealer said I need all this work. Can you help me out? Of course, I'm going to beat their price. I'm going to do the job right away. And then I'm going to be there for them as soon as there's a problem, because it's our business is that way. If there's a problem, product or installation, I'm going to stand behind it and take care of it. And I've proved that above and beyond on many cases. And this battery was another one. Out of warranty. Technically, I stood my ground and said, let Pep Boys stick it up your butt. It's out of warranty. But I didn't. They were trying to get a $300 sale off a $10 tire plug or whatever they charge for a tire plug. But, the people who go from Jiffy Lube to Valvoline to Midas to Meineke, they follow the coupon, right? Or they follow that it's so convenient or whatever the case may be, but not thinking about, hey, their regular guy has always been there for them. Or the guy that, they called a year and a half later that they've never talked to and said, hey, I have a problem. Can you take care of it or can you help me? And they welcomed them with open arms. I would doubt that Pep Boys would ever give you anything for free past the warranty period. I doubt it. I don't know. It boggles my mind. It's like, I don't get it. And then we had another guy that was in 2 years ago who had his own brake pads we installed, and he declined the rear shocks. And that goes to show you how well maintained his vehicle was. If all I could say is, hey, you needed shocks. But his previous mechanic either tried to have that guy service him because he was a new customer to me. And then 2 years later, he calls and says, hey, I was at the dealer and had a timing belt and a water pump and belts and all this other stuff. I'm like, oh, that's kind of sweet. They said I need rear shocks. I said, let me pull up your history. Yes, 2 years ago, you declined the same service. Okay, well, the dealer, is really high. Can you guys do it? And I looked it up. I was like, yeah, we'll honor the price from 2 years ago, which I shouldn't have because everything has went up 2 years. And he comes in and he says, oh, my brakes are pulsating also, and I got a noise, I think, from the dealer's work. I said, well, I'll check it all out and see what's going on. And he needs, the pads are good, the rotors are severely warped, and the power steering pump is making an odd noise when you turn left or right, and it's not leaking, so you said you need a power steering pump. But my point is, 2 years ago, I advised him, and he didn't come back. Now, Meineke sends coupons and sends emails, and we do direct mail, so maybe that we need a different approach to constant contact with our customers. I don't know. Maybe our marketing is just horrible. I don't know. And I've talked to people who've been going to Pep Boys for years who go there and can't get something done or have had something done that's been screwed up. They'll come back to me, get it corrected, and then they'll still go back to them to get work done. So sometimes it doesn't matter if you're good or bad. They still return. Think about how many times that Quick Lubes have had oil leaks and loose oil filters and this and that and the other thing, and those customers will still continue to go back to them. But I'm just trying to wrap my head around how and why people make those choices. And even with cable companies and phone companies and things like that, like once I start seeing a 50% price difference, then I start changing, right? But if you're $10 more or $20 more than somebody else, and I'll even say $100 on a major repair, and I've used you before, I'm going with the guy that I've used before that's always been there for me, instead of the new guy who's $100 or a few $100 less. But if it's 50% difference, then I'm probably going to step outside of who I use for a 50% savings and roll the dice. And sometimes there's a reason why that there's an ultra discount, and sometimes they're not. So if anybody has any magic out there, let me know. I'm just curious of what, and I'm not brand specific when it comes to a vehicle. I've probably had a lot of different manufacturers over the years of me being in this career, but it seems like I always come across Fords more than I come across anything else. But I have 10 or 13 different vehicles and five jet skis or wave runners, whatever you want to call it. Remote control cars. I have a couple of different brands. But now that hobby shops have closed up over the years, I used to go to a hobby shop and buy stuff. Now there's really no hobby shops left, right? So you're forced to the online world in some cases. In my business, you're not forced to the online world because no one on the online is going to magically fix your car over the internet via sound waves and things like that. And there's guys who can flash and program Bluetooth and things like that. But the internet's not going to come to your house and fix your car. Now, a lot of people go to the internet for parts. That's a risky situation. I still can't figure it out. I buy garden supplies from Home Depot and Lowe's based on what they have in stock. And if I can't find something specific, then I'll go to a specialty place. And if they don't have what I need, then I'm forced to go to the internet. But when you're talking about a service provider, that you've been using and that you've used. And like say you're heating an air conditioner, you may have that serviced regularly, or you may not ever have it serviced. But if you have a PSE&G maintenance program, you're not going to call Bob's Air Conditioning to come fix your heater if you have a contract for them, right? You're going to call, if you use Bob's all the time, you're going to use Bob's until Bob is way too expensive or Bob, becomes unavailable. Thanks for watching.